good morning to you all. We are delighted to be taking part in our 11th Lifelong Learning Festival. You are all so welcome to the workshop on the impact of good food on our well-being. So today we are going to look at a few items relating to this topic, and Yvonne, my colleague, is going to do a demo for you. This demo will include two recipes. The first one is coconut and orange granola. This recipe is perfect as a good starter to the day. Yvonne's second recipe is going to be energy balancing protein balls. These are an ideal alternative to having massive amounts of chocolate during the day, and these can be made in batches, stored, and they're also a great source of a food on the go when you're out and about and fancy something a little bit nice with your cuppa. Yvonne will also refer to a number of handouts throughout this workshop. These include the impact of good food on our well-being checklist, the 9 healthy foods that can help lift your mood, top tips for eating your way to happiness, an example of a good mood food chart, and Yvonne will also look at a food cravings chart. So if anybody is interested in getting copies of these handouts, which we've done up for this workshop, please drop us an email and we'll send them on to you. So I hope that you enjoyed this workshop this morning, and I hope also that you get a chance to make the recipes that Yvonne has made for us. Take care. Bye.
Good morning, my name is Yvonne Deegan. I'm working here at National Learning Network in Limerick. I'm a nutritional therapist, and this morning I want to invite you and thank you for coming along to our workshop on mood and food and the effects that good food or other food can have on our overall well-being throughout the day. I'm going to do 2 recipes with you. The first is a granola, and I'll give you options on how you can change the flavours in it. I'm also going to do an energy ball, and again I'll show you and give you options on a couple of different varieties to change the flavour in that as well. Just a little bit about myself. As I said, I am a nutritional therapist. I'm also a qualified chef, so it was great to be able to bring those 2 pieces to working here in National Learning Network. So I'm just going to start now on the granola. It's a very, very simple, basic one. Doesn't take long to make. You can make it in large batches and change the flavour in it to whatever suits you, likes and dislikes. So I have oats, just regular oats, and just flavins or whatever you have handy. You can use gluten-free oats or any kind of oatlet that you prefer. I have small standard oats. And coconut oil, again it comes solid. Again, it's very easy to get any supermarket or even from the local shop will have that. So extra virgin coconut oil. I'm going to zest and juice an orange, and I have honey. Again, good quality honey. I'm not saying that you have to break the bank and use a Manuka honey, which is really good but quite expensive. So good local honey is fine. I'm also using cinnamon. Cinnamon is a great sweetener, so I like to put in a little bit of that as well, and it's great for balancing blood sugar levels. The thing with regular granolas that you might buy, there really is a very high content of sugar in it. Those lovely little clusters that you get in your bowl that you might come across really are just sugar crystals. So as you can see, I'm not adding any refined sugars into it. You get the sweetness from the coconut, the honey and the orange, which is great. So in here I have melted some coconut oil. You don't want to boil it, you literally just want to melt it. And I've also put in the honey, and just to liquefy it all. Now I'm just going to zest the orange. Make sure if they're not organic, to wash them well, because they do hold a lot of dust. Just the fine side. Again, you don't have to use orange. I like it. I think it just gives a nice kick to it. And as I said at the beginning of the week, or maybe on a Sunday evening, you can make a big batch of these. I'm going to make just a small batch just for today. So that's probably enough in there. You don't want to go too far down on to get the bite. You just want literally just the skin of it. Lime could be nice as well, or if you want to put in a little bit of lemon, it's a nice combination. So that's that. Just cut this. Juice, lovely juicy oranges. And that's that. Now I want to coat the oats, just to make sure that they are all evenly coated for toasting. I'm doing an argument with the bag this morning. So you can guess. I will give you the recipes if they're attached. We can send them on to you by email. But you'll be able to guess how much you need. So you just want to mix that well. And you'll see that all the oats are taking on some of the liquid. I do like to toast my coconut separately because coconut toasts very, very quickly. And if you're not watching it, it will burn. Trust me. So I'm just going to toast, just for time, I'm just going to toast one tray. But you can toast all of it at home at your leisure. Again, this won't take long, approximately 15 minutes. So I'm going to leave that toast while I move on to the energy balls. Okay, approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so while the oats are roasting there, and really you have to be very careful that they don't burn, so do keep an eye on them. So while they're toasting, I'm going to make some energy balls. You'll see a lot of these around the shop, so they're quite easy to pick up along the way. They come under lots of different names, energy balls, protein balls, you know, whatever. But the basic ingredient in them is nuts and a dried fruit. Nuts are very high in protein, which is why you can get away with calling them protein balls. But some of them will have added protein powder in them, which a lot of athletes might prefer. But as I said, the choice of nuts, there's a really good choice of nuts, and they're high in protein. Also, they are high in fat, so just bear in mind that they're not something just to kind of munch away on all day, just because they are healthy. Everything in moderation. So some nuts that I have here, I have some walnuts here, and I've just roasted them. They may not look roasted because obviously they're brown already, but they are roasted. And just as a reminder, even for my kids at home, I always tell them that they're good for brain function, because they kind of do look like a brain, but they're really, really good. They're high in omegas and they're delicious. So a portion is roughly just 4 or 5 of them a day to get the nutritional benefit from them. These are the nuts. These are cashews. Again, I've roasted them, and they don't take long. And if you don't watch them, they will burn. So just to show you colour-wise, that's them not roasted, and that's them roasted. And they really are, the flavour changes quite a lot for the roasted ones. Really nice. Brazil nuts. Here, I haven't roasted these, but you can do. Again, they don't take long. High in protein, high in omegas. The best nuts really are Brazils, walnuts, or almonds. Nutritionally, they are the best nuts to use for your snacks. Now these are pine nuts. I don't really use them in energy balls, but you could just sprinkle them on if you were having salad or something like that. So this is also another bag of nuts that you can pick up. It's just a bag of mixed nuts, and in there would be walnuts, almonds, cashews, Brazils, handy to have. Other nuts available, pistachios. These are, they're roasted, they're not salted, which are the ones that I prefer. I know salted would be probably more preferable to a lot of people because they're high salt, and that's exactly why I prefer not to have them. So for today in my energy balls, I have used walnuts and dates. These are just regular dried dates. As you can see, they do look a bit leathery. I just put them into a cup of hot water and let them to soften out a bit, because as I said, they are, I mean, you can eat them like that and they're fine, they're quite delicious. But just for texture, for the what I'm going to make, it's better that they are softer. You could also use the medjool dates, which are quite expensive, but they really are very soft and quite delicious. So I'm lucky enough to have a mixer like this, a food processor. I'll be lost without it. I think they're just, for me, I couldn't do without it. So in there is just walnuts and the dates, and I put in a little bit of cinnamon, and I've just processed it a little bit. I don't want them to be completely pureed. I do like a bit of texture, and they're quite sticky now at this stage. So you can just see there, you can still see the nuts in it. So there's a bit of texture in it. I do like to put cinnamon into my snacks when I'm making them. Cinnamon is really good for balancing the blood sugar levels. So if you're feeling that bit of a dip, it's handy to have the cinnamon in your granola or your treats as well. Other than that, you can really put anything you want into it. If you want to put in some coconut, that's just plain coconut, and this is the roasted coconut. You could do that too. If you want to put in other dried fruit, there's sultanas, there's some cranberries and mixed berries. You could put in some pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are really high in zinc, small amounts of protein and other vitamins and minerals as well, but really good doses of zinc, which is great for your immune system. Handy to have, and they're great in your granolas, or even just a sprinkle on yogurts. Okay, so again, these don't take long. They're the quickest thing to make, and even, I know people call them energy balls or protein balls. You can roll them in, whatever size you like. If you have kids going to school, maybe you just want a couple of smaller ones. So any size you like. If you don't have the patience to roll them, you can put them into a tin, just line the tin with some parchment paper, and you can just press it down into it, put it in the fridge and cut it into whatever shape that you want. But for today, I'm just going to roll them. They're nice to roll. They look like truffles, but they're not. They're healthy truffles. The other thing that you can do is you can leave them plain like that, or if you wanted to, you could roll them in a little bit of coconut, raw or the toasted one. And because they are a bit sticky still at the moment, they're sticky because of the dates are sticky, obviously, and also the oils have been released from the nuts. So it will actually stick quite well when you're rolling it in coconut. So they're quite nice, and when they're in the fridge, then they'll set a little bit. They won't be rock hard or anything, but they'll just set a little bit. Or as I said, you can roll them in cocoa powder, I don't particularly like the cocoa powder. I think it's just a texture thing, but everybody's different. So you could actually, to get that chocolate hit, you could. And that's it really with them. They're that quick and easy to make, and you can vary it, as I said. You can put in any fruit or nuts that you might have at hand. You probably could even use the pistachio nuts if the pistachio nuts were ground down as well to give a nice colour. So that's that with those guys. I'm just going to check on the granola, see how it is doing. So let's have a peek in the oven. As you can see, it's beginning to turn a bit golden, which is nice. And I think that's done enough for me. Okay. That's nice. So into that you could put your coconut. Now, as I said, I do like to use cinnamon because of the blood sugar balancing effects on it, and it does add a bit of sweetness. I think it's great. Dried fruit, again, you can put anything. Because I have orange in it, cranberries go well with orange, so I like to put in some cranberries into that. I also have sultanas. Just put a few into that as well. You could chop up some dates if you wanted to. You could use a dried pineapple here, and that's quite nice. I also have some dried mango. I'm not a massive flavour of mango, but I guess each to their own, but it does give a nice sweetness flavour to it. I do like pumpkin seeds, so I'm going to put pumpkin seeds into mine. I always feel that I need that extra bit of zinc. Zinc is great for the immune system, which we all need right now. You can add more nuts into this. They need to be chopped. You don't want to bite into, a big huge nut like that, so they do need to be chopped. These are just chopped, roasted, mixed nuts. You can buy them like that and they're perfectly fine. Put a sprinkling in there. Put in a little bit of pineapple. Why not? And again, there'll be plenty of sweetness in that. What you could do also is, after you have roasted all your nuts, if you want to vary the flavour, if you have different bowls with your toasted nuts in each, you can add different fruits into each one and different nuts into each one. Maybe there's different likes and dislikes in the house, so each person maybe could have their own granola box. That way everybody's happy, and you could make a big batch of it. Now that is it with the granola. Just need to mix it up. You can store it in an airtight container, or if you have a jar, or if you're making a few different flavours, just don't seal it obviously until it's completely cold, because it will sweat and it will go mouldy. So it's great to have this to start off the day, but you don't have to have granola just at breakfast time. You can have that with maybe just sprinkled over some natural yogurt and some fresh fruit like banana or strawberries and raspberries, whatever you like. Or you might even just have it dry as a snack in the car if you're on your way home, you're feeling a bit hungry. You could just have a small stash of that in the car. It's perfectly fine to eat it like that. There's no rules and regulations when it comes to having healthy snacks. So I just had another tray of oats that I'm just going to take out. I just toasted these just for a little bit longer, and you can do just as long as they're, as I said, not burnt. So we're still getting the little chunks that everybody just so loves, but this obviously is not sugar crystals. That is a combination of the honey, the orange juice and the coconut oil that we use. So maybe in this one you might change the flavour in it, or you might just leave it like that, or you might just have the nuts in it, whichever you prefer, whichever you like. Now I'm just going to put that aside. I just want to talk to you a little bit about these ingredients. They can be got, as I said, pretty much anywhere. Nuts in Brazil, I'm sure you all recognise those packets from certain shops in your area. Roasted walnuts, again, you can make up your own trail mix if you want. If you're not a fan of energy balls or granola, you can make up your own trail mix. Again, which will be a combination of nuts and maybe some seeds and some dried fruit. It would be a wet mix. It would look a bit like that, just with some dried fruit. The dried fruit, I mean, it adds more fibre and sweetness to it, and also the protein in the nuts will slow down the release of sugars, so you're not getting a big hit of sugars. And that will be the same even if you're having a piece of fresh fruit, whether it's an apple or a banana. Have it with just a few nuts, and as I said, a portion is just maybe 5 or 6 nuts to get the nutritional benefit from it, and the protein will slow down the release of sugars from that. So as Donna said in our introduction, we do have some information sheets and some checklists for you to have a look at, and we can send them by email on to you. And I've just put in the benefits and the recipes that I've covered, but I've also put in just a little checklist that you could even just have a read through, just to get you thinking really about how what you eat throughout the day affects your overall mood and energy. Because we all know the typical one, the kids go to parties and the birthday parties and they come back and they're just hyper with the amount of sugar. So if we see that and we're all very aware of that, then it's the same principle for our own diet, and what we eat can benefit us throughout the day. So I have just 12 points that you can have a read of. Just things like, do you feel low? Have you regular ups and downs? And that might be just your energy levels. There's always that maybe 4 o'clock slump that a lot of people would have, if you're working at a desk all day. And that's the time when it's so easy just to go and have the coffee, and maybe, I don't know, there must be a biscuit hanging around somewhere. I'm sure there is, or there is a bar of chocolate. I know there's a bar of chocolate at the end of my bag, or no, it's out in the glove compartment. So that's when you can reach for your trail mix, or even your granola with a bit of yogurt, or the protein balls. They're so easy to have. And what's your concentration like during the day? Do you find that you're kind of dwindling a bit, or are you kind of sluggish to start off in the morning? Maybe you don't have time to have breakfast in the morning, and that's where the granola and things like that can come in handy. That 10 o'clock morning coffee break, again, the muffin, the Danish, whatever, on the way into work when you're getting the petrol and the paper. Again, these things, and the reason why they're in small portions is because you don't need an awful lot. It'll give you that hit that you need to get you started, to take away that slump or that hunger pang. And again, smoking, obviously I'm not a fan of it. Try to maybe cut back or even omit it completely. I'm not saying don't drink caffeine, whether it's tea or coffee. Absolutely do. I'm a big fan of coffee, but you need to know your limits, because you will get that up and down effect from the caffeine hitting your blood sugar levels. Maybe 2 cups a day is probably enough, and sometimes, depending on the brand, there might even be more caffeine in your tea than in the coffee. So do think about that. How well do you sleep? Again, what you've taken in during the day could affect your sleep patterns. Are you hydrated? Ideally, between 2 to 3 litres of water a day is kind of what you need for your system to work efficiently, and also for your brain to function. You know, our whole body needs water. And again, for every cup of caffeine, whether it is tea or coffee, you need 2 cups of water to counteract that. If you're not one for drinking water, which I'm not great, but I do drink a lot of herbal teas, so that's how I get my water intake. Or your fruit and veg will give you water intake as well. Don't eat too late in the evening. You know, anything after 7, we generally, most people, especially during the winter, we're thinking about maybe heading to bed kind of 10, 11, depending on, you know, if you're doing sports or whatever. So you don't want to be eating too late and going to bed with a full tummy. And of course, don't skip breakfast in the morning. Think about the takeaways. Again, very high in saturated fat and salt and additives. So try to plan ahead and have all your ingredients in to make your meals. So as I said, there's just some top tips to look at here, and we can email them on to you. I've also created a quiz which I can send the link to you, and it's just for a bit of fun, but it also does get you thinking about what foods you have stored in your cupboard, and what little things you can do to change your diet to help get you back on the right path. Just 2 tips before I let you go. Number 1, don't do your grocery shopping when you're hungry. And number 2, don't skip breakfast, even if it is 10 o'clock in the morning. So from myself and Donna and Ellen here in Limerick, I would say thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.